Dark stats and facts. The invisible architecture of deception. Picture this: you're sitting across from someone at a coffee shop. They're telling you about their weekend, their eyes darting briefly to the left, a slight twitch at the corner of their mouth. Your gut whispers that something's off. You've watched enough crime dramas to know the signs: the fidgeting hands, the broken eye contact, those famous microexpressions that supposedly betray every liar. You feel confident you'd catch them if they were deceiving you. Here's the uncomfortable truth: you're probably wrong. Right now, in offices from Tokyo to Stockholm, in text messages pinging between Lagos and Lima, in bedrooms where children assure their parents that homework is definitely done, an invisible architecture of deception surrounds us all. Not because humans are inherently dishonest, but because the mechanics of lying operate on frequencies we're simply not equipped to detect. Consider that in the past week alone, you've likely been lied to dozens of times without noticing. Not malicious deceptions necessarily, but a constant stream of social lubricants, professional embellishments, and protective falsehoods that form the hidden scaffolding of human interaction. The real darkness isn't in the lies themselves. It's in how spectacularly blind we are to them, how the very signals we rely on to detect deception are far rarer than we imagine, and perhaps most unsettling, how a tiny fraction of humanity is responsible for flooding our social ecosystem with false information. What follows are 3 interconnected revelations about deception that will fundamentally challenge how you view every conversation you've ever had. Maria, a veteran HR manager in Barcelona with 15 years of experience, prides herself on reading people. She's interviewed thousands of candidates, spotted the resume padders, caught the smooth talkers. When she sits across from Chen, a software engineer claiming expertise in machine learning, she watches carefully. His shoulders seem tense. He pauses before answering. His hand brushes his nose. A classic tell, she thinks. She rejects him. 3 months later, Maria discovers Chen just led a breakthrough AI project at a competitor. Meanwhile, the confident candidate she hired instead, the one who maintained perfect eye contact and spoke without hesitation, is caught fabricating his entire work history. Maria isn't incompetent. She's human. And humans, it turns out, are catastrophically bad at detecting deception. Imagine if weather forecasters were only right 54% of the time, just slightly better than flipping a coin to decide if it'll rain. We'd consider it a scandal, fire them all, demand better systems. Yet this is exactly our success rate at detecting lies, 54% according to a comprehensive meta-analysis by Bond and DePaulo examining 24,483 judges across 206 studies. Think about that number. It means that in every important conversation, job interviews, first dates, business negotiations, courtroom testimonies, we're operating with the effectiveness of someone guessing randomly plus a tiny nudge. A 4% improvement over pure chance. That's the difference between flipping a fair coin and one that's been imperceptibly weighted. The implications ripple outward in disturbing ways. Police officers interrogating suspects, 54%. Judges evaluating testimony, 54%. Parents trying to determine if their teenager snuck out, 54%. Customs agents looking for smugglers, 54%. The number barely budges regardless of experience, training, or confidence. Even more troubling is that people who are highly confident in their lie detection abilities perform no better than those who admit they're guessing. In fact, confidence correlates at essentially 0 with actual accuracy. We're not just bad at detecting lies, we're bad at knowing that we're bad at it. This near-random performance persists across cultures, professions, and relationships. Whether you're in Mumbai or Montreal, whether you've been married for 3 months or 30 years, your ability to tell when someone is deceiving you hovers at that same humbling 54%. Lars, a security consultant at Copenhagen Airport, has just completed an expensive training course on microexpressions. He's learned to spot the 7 universal facial expressions that supposedly flash across a liar's face in less than half a second: contempt, fear, surprise. His instructors showed him videos, made him practice, certified him as ready to catch deception in real time. On his first day back, Lars scrutinizes hundreds of faces passing through security. He's looking for those fleeting tells, the lightning-quick expressions that allegedly leak through even the best liar's mask. An elderly woman's eyebrow twitches, a businessman's lip curls momentarily, a student's eyes widen for a fraction of a second. Lars is searching for something that's barely there. When scientists at the University of Portsmouth actually studied microexpressions systematically, filming people telling both truths and lies in high-stakes situations, they made a discovery that should have shattered an entire industry. They analyzed 700 facial expressions frame by frame, millisecond by millisecond, looking for those famous micro-expressions that supposedly betray deception. The result? Micro-expressions appeared in only 2% of all facial expressions recorded. Let that sink in. The facial cue that launched 1,000 training programs, inspired hit TV shows, and convinced organizations worldwide to invest millions in detection systems, occurs in only 2 out of every 100 facial expressions. You could watch someone's face for an entire conversation and likely never see a single micro-expression. But it gets stranger. These rare micro-expressions didn't just occur when people were lying. They showed up in 22% of all test subjects, both liars and truth-tellers alike. A person experiencing genuine surprise might flash a micro-expression. Someone remembering something painful might show one. A truthful person feeling momentary anxiety could display the exact same fleeting expression as a practiced deceiver. The implications are staggering. Airport security trained to spot micro-expressions are essentially hunting for unicorns. Poker players convinced they can read tells are tracking signals that may not exist. The entire premise of reading deception through facial expressions, a cornerstone of popular psychology, rests on phenomena so rare and ambiguous that they're virtually useless in practice. Even Paul Ekman, the psychologist who popularized microexpressions, admitted they're not definitive proof of lying. A microexpression might indicate emotional leakage, but emotions aren't lies. Fear of being disbelieved looks identical to fear of being caught. Contempt for an accusation appears the same whether the person is guilty or innocent. The micro-expression myth persists because it offers something irresistible: the promise that lies are written on our faces if only we knew how to read them. The truth is far more unsettling. The human face keeps its secrets better than we ever imagined. Fatima manages a customer service team in Cairo. She's dealing with what seems like an epidemic of deception: false sick days, fabricated customer complaints to cover mistakes, elaborate excuses for missed deadlines. It feels like everyone on her team is lying constantly. She institutes new policies, adds surveillance, requires documentation for everything. But Fatima is fighting shadows. The lies flooding her workplace aren't coming from everyone, they're coming from almost no one. When researchers tracked 632 people's lies over 91 consecutive days, the most comprehensive study of real-world deception ever conducted, they discovered something that reshapes our entire understanding of human dishonesty. Yes, people lie on average 1 to 2 times per day. That statistic is accurate. But averages, in this case, hide a far stranger truth. 75% of people are surprisingly honest, telling between 0 and 2 lies daily, mostly harmless social lubricants. Your haircut looks great. Sorry, I'm busy that night. The traffic was terrible. These minor deceptions barely register as lies, serving more as social cushions than deliberate falsehoods. But then there's the other group. Just 5 to 6% of the population, the study found, are what researchers termed prolific liars. These individuals don't just lie more often, they lie with breathtaking frequency. The most extreme cases reported lying 15 to 20 times per day. Every conversation, every interaction, every exchange becomes an opportunity for fabrication. Here's the truly dark statistic. This tiny sliver of humanity, less than 1 in 20 people, generates approximately 40% of all lies told in society. Think about what this means. In any organization of 100 people, 5 or 6 individuals are producing nearly half of all deception. In a classroom of 30 students, 1 or 2 are responsible for more lies than the other 28 combined. On a dating app with 1,000 active users in your area, 50 people are creating an ocean of false profiles, fake photos, and fictional life stories that distort the entire ecosystem. These prolific liars aren't necessarily psychopaths or criminals. They're often charming, successful, well integrated into society. They've simply developed a different relationship with truth, treating it as optional rather than default. They lie when it's advantageous, when it's easier, when it's entertaining, or sometimes for no discernible reason at all. The disturbing reality is that we're not swimming in a sea of universal deception. We're being deluged by a flood generated by a tiny minority, while the vast majority of humanity struggles along, trying to be mostly honest, occasionally failing, but generally holding the line. The architecture of deception isn't what we imagined. We're nearly blind to lies, achieving detection rates barely better than random guessing. The facial cues we've been trained to watch for, those supposedly revealing microexpressions, are so rare they might as well not exist. And the lies that surround us aren't emerging from everyone equally, but flooding out from a tiny percentage of prolific deceivers who've turned fabrication into a lifestyle. Perhaps the real darkness isn't in these truths themselves, but in what they reveal about the human condition. We've built entire civilizations, justice systems, and relationships on the assumption that we can tell when someone is lying. We've trusted our intuitions, our experience, our ability to read faces and detect deception. But the numbers don't lie, even when we do. In a world where truth and falsehood are nearly indistinguishable, where the signals of deception are vanishingly rare, and where a small minority generates an outsized portion of lies, we're all navigating half-blind through a fog of uncertainty. Stay curious but safe.